everybody, it's Mike here with Iron Beak Forge, and today we're going to be making a twist pattern Damascus. We're going to be using a very low layer, like 9 layers. To do that, we're going to use about 30 pieces of steel. Actually, it's 32 pieces of steel. We have 16 pieces of 1080, 16 pieces of 15N20. Now we're going to stack that into 9 varied thickness layers because it looks so good when you twist it up. Very bold pattern, very bright layers. That's one of my favorite ways to twist steel is low layer. So we're going to just put this over here, we're going to weld it up, and we're going to rock it into the forge and get rolling with it. All right, let's get a stick on it and throw it in the forge. All right, we're ready to rock this into the forge and get it heating up. From there, we're gonna just forge it into a square. Once it's a square, we're gonna forge it into a circle. Once it's a circle, we're gonna run it into the twisting machine, twist it up, and then we'll be ready to cut it out into sections and roll that out into knife billets. From there, we'll just make a knife. Flex time. Like a wet noodle. close. One more squish. Perfect. Changing the dies out here. We're gonna go from these T dies into the rounding dies. Once we get the rounding dies in, we'll round our billet in the middle. We'll give it one more good heat, and then we're gonna rock it over to the twisting machine and twist the ever-living crud out of it. Always keep your hands away from the squishing mechanism at all times. Be very, very careful. If you have a coal iron press, I highly recommend changing out the factory screws for these ones with a bolt head on them. Way faster change outs. All right, so we've got the rounding dies set up. We're gonna run, and these are coal iron rounding dies, factory made, available at their website. They're fantastic. We're gonna run we've got it roughly 1.5 inch square, and we're gonna have 1.5 inch diameter rounding die. So we're gonna round it up. It won't be perfectly round, it'll be mostly round, kind of like an octagon, but without the sharp corners. But it will still have a little bit of flat here and there. And then we're gonna twist that up. Rounding it helps to twist much, much easier on the machine. It gets a lot more tight twist if you use a round. And most importantly, it wastes a lot less steel. I don't have to grind almost anything off when I use round steel prior to twisting. So if you're not doing that, I highly recommend it. It will mess with your pattern a little bit, but the pattern it produces is still beautiful. You still get those classic X's from the twist when you grind down into it. Again, you know, I find it a lot easier to get a tighter twist personally, and a more even twist. hard to swing a hammer with your offhand. All right, so now we're gonna get that ripping hot. I mean, we want it at welding temperatures, 21 to 2300 degrees is where we want that when we twist it. It'll help us get a consistent twist. If it's all heated that much, it'll also help us get to twist for longer. We'll be able to twist it for more time and more revolutions the hotter it is, because as soon as it starts to cool down, you run into the risk of it shearing. And we don't want that. If you're doing this at home, try not to catch your bucket on fire. Maybe put some water in it ahead of time. Minor detail. But you can see here, we've got a really nice tight twist. And while we started at 1.5 inches in diameter, we're probably closer to 2 now because it corkscrews down as it twists and gets fatter. So we're gonna have at least 3 or 4 knives out of this. And it should be a great, great low layer twist with a lot of activity in it. So we're gonna cool this off now. Once it's cooled off, we're gonna cut it, and then we're gonna start ripping it through into knife billets. So we'll forge them down flat, make sure we flux all this, clean it out, then we'll run it through the rolling mill. These are probably gonna be chef knives, so we'll do a long chef knife billet, at least one of them. Dude, that might be the tightest twist I've ever done. All right, our twist billet is cooled down now. We're gonna go ahead and lop the end off here, and then we're gonna cut it into sections that we're then gonna forge out and eventually roll out into our knife billet. All right, so here what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure out the width that we need, or the length that we need to be able to get the length that we need in the billet. We're gonna go with 2 inches to be on the safe side. That should be plenty of steel for a full-size kitchen knife billet because we're almost 2 inches wide. So what you're seeing is a snapshot of the 9 layers twisting. Let's see the other side. So they're always going to be straight there, but then as they come in here, they're going to be curved, right? Oh, there we go. Maybe we were just real close to the flat on that side because we definitely got some swirl there. But again, this will have very little to do with the final pattern, if anything, because we're going to be smashing it this way, down and up, and then this will become flat. And eventually when you grind through these, it'll make X's. All right, so we'll get this washed up. I'm gonna weld a stick to it right on the end here. And then we're gonna forge this out and a little bit sideways because we want it to be just a little bit wider for a kitchen knife. And then we'll work on forging it lengthwise. And then eventually we're gonna just straight up roll it out because that'll help us preserve the pattern a lot more than forging it out any other way, because the rolling mill will affect it all very evenly. And it will help us get down to the nitty gritty that we wanna get to. Usually I go about 20 thousandths on each side thicker than I wanna end up after surface grinding. So we'll go to about 160 or somewhere between 0.160 and 0.150. And that should make for a nice, sleek, thin kitchen knife. And maybe we'll try a laser grind on it. We'll see. But next thing up is I'm gonna weld a stick on, and then we're gonna throw all this back in the forge. All right, so we've got the twist squared up. We've got it kind of pressed down. We're just over 2 inches wide. That's what that spacer was. That's my 2-inch block. We went about a 1/4 inch above that. So we didn't quite hit the 2-inch block, which is right where I want it, because we're gonna cut the sides off a little bit. We always grind the corners off to make sure our welds are clean on the edge and on the spine. So we should end up, after we're done cleaning up, right around 2 inches. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna roll it out on the rolling mill to length. Hopefully I calculated it right. We should, in theory, get somewhere between 9 and 12 inches. So we're either gonna make an 8-inch hidden tang or a 12-inch overall full tang kitchen knife. check it. That's ready to rock again. From here, it's like every other minute we're going to be running. All right, we got one more heat on this twist Damascus, and then we're gonna be at the length that we want. We could stop right now if we wanted to grind a little extra off and do a hidden tang. I think for this one, I really wanna do a full tang though. So we're gonna just go one or two more heats, make it plenty thin, and then we'll be ready to cut it out and grind it. So we'll see what the pattern looks like. We're gonna at least clean the scale off of it today. And then again, you'll see the finished product even if you don't see the whole knife making process. Woo, barely hanging in. All right, so we're finished with the twist. We've got it cooling. I'm gonna surface grind it as soon as it's cool. We'll show you some of the pictures of the surface ground acid etched finish. And then you're gonna have to wait until the end of the video to see the finished knife, because obviously with a twist, you don't see the final pattern until you grind down into it and get your bevels going. That's when those X's are usually gonna come out. So if you wanna hang around to the end of the video, stay tuned, you'll see our finished knife. Right on. We're at 150. So time we take 30 thousandths off will be 120. If we have to go 40 thousandths, will be 110, but that's still thick enough for a kitchen knife. We'll have really good cutting geometry. I do kind of want to straighten it though. So right at the end of the forge on the rolling mill put a little bit of a curve into the billet. It probably did that because I wasn't perfectly straight going in. So right now I'm heating it enough to take the bend out of it. I don't want it so hot that when I hit it, it like wants to fold. I just want it hot enough that I can forge the bend out of it with a hammer on the anvil. I'm just trying to get it to a dull red, not anywhere near welding heat, but just barely forgeable so I don't crack it either. That's probably a little hot, so I'm gonna let that cool in the air. Perfect. Got that out. Now I'm going to straighten it back up on the press. Straight as we're going to get. All right, we're gonna clamp this into the saw. We're gonna cut off our stick here, and then it'll be time to surface grind it, give it a quick etch, and see what our pattern's looking like. This may scream at us. Looks like we're at about 2 1/4, which is great. That's right where we want to be on width. If you're gonna glaze the belt up, it's probably gonna be running over the top of forge scale. So I like to just give that belt a little quick resharp while we're running. Works great. That's flat. All right, guys, I don't like to grind off every little bit of inclusion because a lot of that's going to come off when I grind my bevels, and I'd rather keep my thickness where I want it. By the time I grind this other side off, we're going to be right where I want to be on thickness. So I'm going to leave these for when I grind bevels, but we'll go ahead and etch it real quick, see what it looks like. Something to consider when you're stretching steel out is that no matter how tight you make it, the further you stretch it, the less tight it will be in the end product. So we took essentially a 2-inch piece and stretched it to 15 almost. So it did stretch the pattern back out, but you can see we have the varied thicknesses of lines like we had in the original starting stack. So that's pretty rad. And then also this is actually, what you're seeing is the end ballooned out this way and then flattened. So this is going to differ from this pattern. So if I don't like that, I'll have to cut it here and make the knife from this section. And that's probably what I will do. All right, guys, right now what we're doing is we're tracing out from our blank. That I use this as a template. It's a piece of steel that I didn't know how to heat treat properly, and it was way too hard to continue to grind on. Way too tough, rather, to continue to grind on. So I'm just cutting out my blade. I don't forge a lot of my blades to shape. And the main reason for that is because I have some severe disabilities. You can't really see them by looking at me, but I do have some disabilities from my time in the service. And one of the things that we do is we focus on what we can do, and we don't worry about the rest, right? So I can do this. I can't swing a hammer for hours, and so I don't. And so I focus on what I can do, and I'm comfortable with that. But I do want to be open with you guys about that. Part of why that's my process. Whatever your process is, you should do that, right? If you like to swing the hammer and forge it to shape, there's nothing wrong with that. We've forged this steel, and now we're going to do stock removal for the rest of the knife. And there, you know, for me personally, I have no shame in that. There's a lot of people that have very strong opinions on that. They're welcome to them, right? I'm not going to argue about it. This is just my process, and I have that process for reasons. And I'm sure everyone has reasons for their process, and you should lean into that, whatever you feel comfortable with. And this is what I feel comfortable with. So from here, I'm going to stock removal on making this kitchen knife. It's going to look great, and we'll go from there. All right, we have our basic blade shape cut out. We still have some lines we got to color too. We're going to do that on the grinder with a 36 grit belt. The reason I don't do all of it on a grinder with a 36 grit belt, even though it's pretty thin steel, is this is already a very wasteful process. Sometimes you can take these scraps, make them nice to 1,000, 2,500 grit, drill a hole in them, shape them how you want them, make them into a pendant. Etch them real deep. They turn out very beautiful, and then you have less waste, you know. Not everyone's into making jewelry, but someone is. Find them and sell it to them. that's our basic knife design. So we have our basic knife cut out. We did forge this steel, so anyone that says it wasn't forged, I don't know what to tell you. We did forge it. I just didn't forge it to shape. So I forged it to a shape of flat. From here, I'll drill holes for the handle. I'll cut the bevels in. We'll heat treat it. We'll get a handle put on it, and then you can see it at the end from there. You know how to grind a knife. So I'm not going to show you every step along the way. If you don't know how to grind a knife, let me know in the comments, and eventually we'll do a series on how to grind a knife, because there's some really basic stance stuff and closeness to the grinder that you should be aware of if you're not already. So let me know if you're a beginner in the comments. Let me know if there's enough of you. We'll go ahead and make that video. All right, folks, that wraps up our twist Damascus how-to. I hope you've had a good time. I've had a great time. I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Production Strategies, 3M, and Taylor Tools, TateTools.com. Thank you so much to all of them. But the biggest shout out goes to you, the people viewing this. We want to make content that you want to watch. I would like to aim this channel primarily at steel pattern development. If there's patterns that you want to see, I'll learn them alongside with you. And then we'll show them on camera. You can learn from my mistakes, or we can learn together. But there's a fair amount of steel that I do know how to make. I'd like to put that on film for you, so you have a place to come and learn how to do Damascus. If you've tuned in this far, thank you so much. Let me know in comments what you think. Let us know what we can improve, and let us know what you want to see. Until next time, cheers. Hey guys, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I wanted to address again a second time, we filmed most of this video on the same day as the last video, and so in the process, these knives were finished at the same time. That means that the quirks that I had in the last video, I still had in this video. We used a new etch process. I'm using belts I hadn't used before. And I found some things in my fit and finish that I'll adjust for next time. Again, I'm not making perfect blades. I haven't made one yet. You probably haven't either, but the thing is in the trying, right? So we're constantly improving, we're constantly getting better, and I will be doing that as I progress. Thank you for being here in the beginning. Thank you for tuning in, and feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments. Thank you.